Okay, we're good. Thank you. I have to give a little bit, it's short.
It is true. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's just after 2, and we're going to start our meeting this afternoon. We have all of council present with the exception of Councillor Horvis, who still may be on his way. We also have Brett Paskaruk, our communications officer, with us this afternoon, and our CAO, Deepak Joshi. So with that, I would like to have a resolution for the adoption of the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. Reception of delegations, 4.1 IMRA Recreation Builder Award to Lakeshore Heights. New other business, 6.3.1 Red River North Tourism Holiday Yards of the Season Contest, and 6.3.2 Holiday Alley, and communication for information 9.5.1 SDCF Endowment Manitoba Giving Challenge.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion, anything else to be added to our agenda for today? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I would just like to add that we have a quick discussion about snow.
Snow removal?
Yes, please.
Okay. Anybody else have anything that they would like to add for today? Hearing and seeing none, I have a mover, I have a seconder. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. One more thing we'll do, and then we'll have our delegation. We have a confirmation of the minutes from our meeting of last week, so if I could have a resolution for that, please.
Resolve the minutes of November 9th, 2021 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, Councillor Strang seconds. Any discussion, corrections, amendments to those minutes? I'm not seeing anything, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, now we will go to our reception of delegation, and it is to do with the Interlake Municipal Rec Association Builder Award. So I'm going to start off by saying a few words, and then we'll move on with the program. But I am going to stand up. Good afternoon, everyone. Edith and Herb. With this weather, I'm glad that you were able to be here today. We are here to recognize the hard work of Lakeshore Heights Cottage Owners Association, executive, and all the other volunteers in the community. Lakeshore Heights is an area about 3 kilometers south of Grand Marais that has 288 residential lots. Both permanent and seasonal residents reside in the area. The executive, along with volunteers, have worked hard over the years and have been able to invest in amenities throughout the community. There are a number of recreational spaces along Lake Winnipeg, which include multiple play structures, a beach volleyball court, a basketball court, horseshoe pits, and a picnic shelter with picnic tables. There are benches along the Trans-Canada Trail that runs through the area and stairs to access the beach in a safe manner. In the past, the municipality has assisted with grant funding for some of the projects, but more recently, the association has done fundraising and used their own funds for projects. The association is always looking for ways to improve the area for the residents and their guests, and are presently working with our recreation director to make the features more accessible and updating some dated equipment. The association recognizes the importance of recreation for the residents, and today I am very pleased to present the Lakeshore Heights Cottage Owners Association with the Interlake Municipal Recreation Association Recreation Builder Award for 2021. So Edith, if I could just ask you to come to the podium. On behalf of the Interlake Municipal Rec Association,
Association, I'd like to present you with this award for the Lakeshore Heights Association and for all your hard work. I know you're very involved with the community, and I know that you were past president, and I believe you still might be past president. Past, but I know that you've done some awesome work with the association, so thank you for all that you've done for the association. And if you wanted to say a few words, you go, oh.
I will, yeah.
Wait, your husband wants to.
Oh, yes, I warned him that he had to have one, so I can put it on our website. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
go
you
ahead.
so much.
You're very welcome, Edith.
Thanks. Well, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to accept this award on behalf of Lakeshore Heights and their residents. It's truly an honor to be nominated and recognized. Thank you so much. I'd like to take this opportunity to provide Mayor Debbie and the council members an insight on what makes Lakeshore Heights such a vibrant community. So community, I'm alluding to some of the things that you had spoken to, but our community, Lakeshore Heights, is on the east shores of Lake Winnipeg, of course, between Road 101 and 102. We get the awesome sunsets. So we're really fortunate to have that. We've got approximately 290 properties, 260 are seasonal residents, and 27 are now permanent. So the permanent number is just going up year after year, so that's great. I think one of the key successes to Lakeshore Heights has been basically communicating to all of our members what's happening. You know, about 15 years ago, there was very little communication day to day or month to month. So our communication has been the key to success for Lakeshore Heights. It started out by obtaining everybody's email addresses and phone numbers. That was a big deal. Once we had the email addresses and we had a website, and then we could start, you know, sending out emails for meetings or whatever was happening, whether there was a break-in or bears or whatever were a problem. We have a Facebook page. We also have, we send out what they're called e-blasts, just something quick. So if anything has come up, you know, our residents can know that. We also have a brochure that we put together for new cottage owners. So when there is somebody new that comes into the area, part of the executive, just go to the door with this little brochure introducing ourselves and giving them a little insight of what Lakeshore Heights is all about. So that's been really, plus it gives you a chance to meet your new neighbor. And we have 3 bulletin boards throughout Lakeshore Heights as well, so we can post things manually on there as well. Our executive, we only have 5 on the executive, our president, 2 vice presidents, secretary, and treasurer. It's a 2-year term, and we have 2 meetings a year. Our AGM is in May, and then September is just kind of the little wind up. Memberships. Our memberships keep growing every year. The annual dues are $20, and then gives it's 1 voting share per household for that $20. We've also started probably 10 years ago a street representative, and that person from their street will basically go door to door to collect the dues. Now, the last 2 years things have changed because of COVID, so we've got e-transfer now. We have PayPal, we have also, you can mail a check in, but that street rep basically is the voice for that street, so it's kind of great. You get to know your immediate neighbors, and how can you say no to the $20 when it's your neighbor? So we managed to collect about 80% of the funds from, or 80% of the community pay their $20. That's our one and only fundraising, I guess, if you want to call it. That's basically the money that we have to work with, other than grants. We don't do a lot of annual fundraisers. And so like last year, we had 180 memberships collected for 2021, a little bit lower than because of COVID and just people weren't coming out, but that would be low. Normally we're at about 200, we can go up to 221, I think was our record. And we've even broken it down, like what that little $20 will give you, because of course there's resistance when you go to the door They go, no, what's in it for me? So the $20, we have a little cheat sheet that we give the street rep, and it's like $6 goes to improvements, $1 goes to the website, you know. So they break it down realizing that, really, what's $20? But this is how much goodness it does. So very often they'll go, okay, oh yeah, $20 is pretty good. Our volunteers, well, we're all volunteers. The board is volunteers, it's volunteer based. So we have a great group of individuals that are volunteers. For example, like we've had a skating rink now, I think it's 3 years in a row, Herb, that we've had a skating rink. And it's just a group of people from the area go down to the lake, clear it all off, and bring in benches, and so that's just a small example, but it's like, just do it. And they get people around that are there for the weekend, and and have that sort of going. The public green spaces, we're just like so thrilled. We have 4 of them, as you alluded to. We have one at West and Lakeview, which is at the south end. That's where our community covered structure is. There's a playground there, the covered structure. We have benches. There's the horseshoe pits are there as well. And we also have a community shed, storage shed, and in there is everything that you would possibly need for all of the events that we hold. So that's on that one. We also have new, what all do we have there? There's so much. We have new benches there as well. And we encourage individuals to use this. So it's actually been, there's been weddings there, there's been family reunions there. So it's like, it's owned by the community in a sense, so let's just have them use it. So that's a great place for everybody to meet. Then we have the main beach, which is in the center of West Street, right in the middle of West Street and Lakeshore Heights. Centrally located and access for all the residents. That's where the stairs to the beach are. We've spent a lot of money on shoreline remediation there. We've got a new playground. There's 3 low-maintenance metal benches. Now there's a picnic table with benching or seating as well, and there's a bulletin board. Number 3 is our 3rd green space is West Street and Beach Avenue. There's a basketball court there with the provincial or professional grade hoop. I think it's professional grade. It looks like it to me. It looks really good. We leave a basketball out there now, and that's just been incredibly encouraging. Like, if it's there, they'll come and use it. So that basketball is there. And yeah, it's gone missing a couple of times, but you post a sign asking the individual who borrowed it temporarily to bring it back. It manages to come back, so it's really been a great asset there. And then West Street and Road 102, which is at the very north end of Lakeshore Heights, is we have a volleyball court and net there, and then there's a bench as well, and then there's a walkway down to the beach. So it's just like a sloped walkway down to the beach. Did you want to go sit at your chair?
No, that's
Are you
fine.
okay? Yeah, and events, that's the next thing with Lakeshore. We have so many events. I'm going to name them because they're just so much fun. We have a community garage sale, a family picnic, a volleyball tournament, a pancake breakfast, a horseshoe tournament, a golf tournament with a dinner, and we have trivia night, and hopefully this year we're looking at doing a fishing derby in the winter, so that would be our first winter really event. And we have a little library at Lakeshore Heights as well, and all of the events basically have an event host, so they host that event. They look for their volunteers to help with that event, and then going back to the shed that we have at the main area, that shed has everything from barbecues to grills to sun tents to coffee pots to dishes to beautiful Costco tables and chairs. So now, when we actually can sit in something comfortable, there's picnic tables. So if you're hosting an event, you don't have to bring your blue bin from home with all your stuff in there to host that. So that's been great, and we have an inventory of that, what's in that shed as well, so that if something is missing, we just purchase it and have it in there. So the event hosts, I mean, that's been wonderful for them to have that. They oversee it, and then they have the volunteers to come in and help them. Capital investments and improvements. So we actually did a spreadsheet because it was pretty interesting to see how much money has come into and out of Lakeshore Heights with all the improvements. So for the last 10 years, over $55,000 of improvements have been done. So funding from our association out of that $55,000 was $26,000. And of course, volunteer labor is like, we put it at $20 an hour. So there was 380 hours of volunteer work for all of those projects. So the dollar figure on that is about $7,600. And then of course, we've been very fortunate to have $29,000 in the last 10 years as from municipal grants. So that's been wonderful. So it's kind of like a 50-50, you know, and there's so many numerous improvements that you do that we just can't put a dollar figure on it. So for example, there's 3 new metal signs going into Lakeshore Heights. They're large. How big are they? They're 4 feet by 8 feet. And one of our residents, he's in the sign business. So, you know, we got photos that were taken by somebody within Lakeshore Heights that were transposed on these big, beautiful, so each one is different at the entrance. So those are the kinds of things, you can't really put a dollar figure, but it's all things that are currently, you know, just happen and they improve the area, that's for sure. What other things do we do? I don't know, like our little library was built by hand by one of our ladies in Lakeshore Heights. And she designed it, built it, and put it up, and she runs it, and, you know, make sure the books in there are up to date. So again, those are the things that, there's just no dollar amount in that figure that I gave you, but a small example of how everybody just picks up something and they run with it. And of course, we always have a wish list, which, you know, Mayor Debbie alluded to today a little bit on. So we're up looking at grants currently right now to support a new safe playground and also accessibility to that playground. And really adding to the wish list is perhaps another beach access at the beach or basketball court. So, you know, the residents of Lakeshore Heights are the gatekeepers of all of the beautiful green spaces that we have, realizing the importance of improving and enhancing these much valued community spaces, appreciating the value of having those areas for our neighbors and friends. It's just, you know, I mean, it's priceless really in a sense. Where do you get a piece of property, a piece of land where you can just enhance it and have people meet and gather? So this fall, actually, I guess it was in August, we were fortunate enough to, you know, reached out to Councillor Dave just on, is there grant money out there? What can we do? This is, you know, we have a few ideas. So he suggested to come out to Lakeshore Heights to meet with us, and he invited Debbie. She came along, so we had a great walkabout at Lakeshore and had a chance, you both had a chance to meet some of our executive. And it just provided us an opportunity to discuss the future plans on replacing the very end-of-life playground equipment, as well as incorporating a paved pathway for accessibility to that playground. And of course, it also gave us an opportunity to focus on how we maintain and build community assets and how we protect and beautify our green spaces. So thank you for your time, and thank you for the award and for allowing me to really brag about our great community. Thank you.
Council and Wmr, please show the award. I'm sure you'll find a place for it somewhere. So
yes,
yes,
celebrate it at Lakeshore Heights
Yes,
somehow, maybe in the
yes.
spring or the summer. But
yeah,
yes.
and thank you very much for coming out today, and
Thanks.
have a good winter.
That's a great honor. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice to meet everybody. See you later.
so moving on, we are now into number 5. We don't have any communications for action, but we do have some other business to deal with. So 6.1, the ward boundary review, and Deepak, I'll let you take us through that.
Madam Mayor, as per the Municipal Act, Council has to review and establish ward boundaries at each term of council. And normally this is implemented at least 180 days before the next general election. In determining the ward boundaries, each municipality may also take into consideration, of course, topographical features or other sort of dividing lines, such as natural boundaries, such as highways or rivers, and so forth. The recommendation is that council must decide whether or not to maintain the current wards as they are divided. This is not requiring a resolution of council, so if council is satisfied with the wards as they are currently divided, then there is no resolution required, and we can move forward. And we're recorded in the minutes that the ward boundaries were reviewed by council, and there was no need to do any adjustments for this coming election.
Thank you for that. I'll open it up. Are there any questions or comments from members of council? Go ahead, Councillor Vargas.
I think the word boundaries are fine.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. So it seems that there's consensus that the boundaries remain as they are. The only thing that I would ask is that I believe that our CAO has received some correspondence from a resident asking when this was going to happen. So if we could just reply to the resident saying that it has been discussed and it will be in the minutes as a notation, and let that person know that we are not changing anything at this point. Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
And the administration could even say what's in the recommendation here is that they serve they clearly are serving the democratic representation of the municipality.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anybody else have anything on this? Okay, I'll let Deepak finish making his note, and I think the next one we have is 6.2, and that is to do with the lake.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What this is it's been a long-standing issue over at Gull Lake, where they've been in communications back and forth about identifying it as a community on its own. In the past, due to that not being identified as a community, the province management has informed them that it wasn't showing up in any provincial maps, wouldn't show up on Google or any of those other items. So there were several issues that were identified by the group. One was not having a community name would make it difficult to be able to get deliveries, as well as dealing with emergency services or getting transportation too, because some people rely on Google to get there, and if you say Gull Lake, they can't find it on Google. They identified that it might even be a concern for emergency. The other was that they felt that some people that are permanent residents would like to have their mail delivered there for their own community mailboxes, as opposed to out by Sherwood. And so this request has been ongoing, and in the past, all communications from the province has been, it isn't a community and you must have it declared as a community by the municipality. Just this October, we received an email with a letter identifying from Agricultural Resources that it is in fact a community and has been established since 1999. So based on that, what we're recommending is to come forward and to establish the boundaries of Gull Lake. The one thing is, because they want to achieve two issues here. One is to locate Gull Lake on maps, which now can be established because the province has already recognized it. But the other part is to establish the boundaries for mail delivery, which requires some boundaries to be established. Gull Lake, as you know, also is in the arm of Alexander. So our recommendation today is that we receive this information and that the administration will go on and discuss with and I apologize, I just noticed there's a typo there. And we would to the Arm of Alexander about that we are doing this and that they're aware, so that when we pass a motion saying these will be the boundaries of Gull Lake, they'll need to have something similar from the Arm of Alexander saying within their boundary, this is the boundary of Gull Lake. So that at some point Canada Post can then start delivering mailboxes there.
Don't you have any boxes there already?
They have mailboxes at the Sherwood store. And some receive mail over here in Selkirk, East Selkirk, and other places. And so what they'd like to do is have a boundary. It's similar to what we have for Narrow. And so Narrow has been identified and it receives mailboxes and the mail gets delivered to a central location there. We'd have to work that out with Canada Post at some point. But right now, it would be just for the designation of the name and certain boundaries as to where those boundaries really actually sit in Gull Lake.
Okay, I see a couple of hands up. Go ahead,
Scott
Councillor
is before me.
Spicer first, and then Councillor Boulanger.
So just for clarification, this is just for mail? Because all the rest applies to the Municipal Act, which actually could make Gull Lake a hamlet. And the only way they are not a hamlet is if they incorporate. So it's just mail service, that's...
Mail service and to be able to get it recognized on the mapping GIS systems out there.
Okay.
Google and maps from Apple Maps and so forth.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
That was my comment, is that if they want to get a hold of Google, they're going to have to reach out to Google, which is not easy. It's pretty much impossible to get a hold of Google or get information corrected. So that's going to have to start sooner than later because it's going to take them a long time to connect.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
Are we going to discuss this in camera later?
I'm not sure that we were going to. I see that,
Not this part.
Not this particular part. I see that there's a resolution up on the screen. Was there something that you wanted to discuss regarding this in camera?
Yeah, just something about the boundary line, like where it would be.
Well, I think that's part of the discussion that's going to be ongoing, is to determine where those boundaries are going to be.
I can show you generally speaking.
Like off the 59 highway, that highway going up the hill?
Well, Stead Road it's
Yeah,
called now.
Stead Road. That would kind of be, is that the boundary there?
I'm not sure what the area residents are proposing, or if it's up to us to propose
The
where the
discussion-
boundary should be.
The discussion that I've had in the past with them is to use Provincial Highway 59, Stead Road, and Road 42 East, or Road 12 here, as the boundary where then it connects into the Arm of Alexander. And that way,
Kind of know
all
where
this
the road
area.
is?
Well, I guess, yeah, I kind of think I do, but I guess my question, looking at that and once you explain it, so those people who are on the south side of Stead Road
Yeah.
aren't going to be part of Gull Lake.
Yep, which has implications that we're talking about here. Or-
Yeah. You guys know where I'm going?
Yeah, definitely, big time.
So, I guess if you wanted to have further discussion in camera, we could do that and come back to this resolution once our in-camera session is done. But I
Like
guess,
I like right now, if you're proposing those boundary lines, I like them.
Mhm.
They make a lot of sense to me.
We'll propose then, it'll come in for a bylaw, it'll have first reading, second reading, public opportunity to speak to it. Those residents will have an opportunity to be able to make comment. And at this point, I think the biggest issue is I have been in communications with some of the residents, one specific resident, and I've informed them to communicate and work with the residents and identify those boundaries. To date, we haven't received anything dramatic, anything specific other than this letter that we received from the province. So my comment is, might as well just move forward, because otherwise this issue just doesn't seem to be getting a resolution. So we'll create the boundaries, we'll submit it, and then we'll see what the reaction
So
is.
we're submitting something that's already been identified and already been submitted?
Shared with the resident, one of the residents, not necessarily the entire community.
Okay, so are we good to pass the resolutions, or resolution, or would you like to further discuss in camera?
I think anecdotally we can just talk about it, doesn't have to be that it's an actual item in camera, right?
Exactly, because the resolution is for us to come
Yeah.
forward with the boundaries, and we're not, the resolution doesn't create any boundaries at this point. So I can read the resolution.
Sure.
Whereas, in order to establish individual community names in the RM, they must be approved by the province of Manitoba. And whereas, on October 18, 2021, the province of Manitoba provided confirmation that Gull Lake has been approved as an official locality in Manitoba. And whereas, Gull Lake sits within the municipalities of St. Clements and Alexander, and therefore be it resolved, the administration communicate with the RML Alexander and bring forward a bylaw to delineate the boundaries of Gull Lake.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, second. Second. Councillor Strang. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Leave it to the self-vendors.
Wonder why that is.
Okay, so now we are at 6.3, municipal office snow removal. And Deepak, if you could walk us through that one, please.
This year, so what we're doing is looking to approve a contract for this year. We did have some discussions with our own public works to see if we could get some of this work done, but there was no guarantee at this point as they're in their work schedules that they could. So we're staying with the same contract that we've agreed to in the past. Our intent is that next year we would go out and do a tender and look at various local providers to see if we can get the grass cutting and snow clearing and all those things covered. So the intent is to renew it. This is for Gellers, who's also providing other services for us, and it's the cost is $5,225 or $5,250 plus taxes to clear the snow in the RM for the entire our winter season.
Winter season, okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
This might sound bad, but it just floors me that we're gonna pay a company when we do it for our residents. I guess that's all I'm gonna say.
Generally, we do roads, not private parking lots.
Well, do they do the parking lot or just the sidewalks around?
They'll do the sidewalks and the handicap access.
But not the whole parking lot.
That's done by our public works.
Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland, I believe you have your hand up.
I think Scott was before me.
I think the challenge here is timing,
Yes.
because if I remember reading it correctly, half inch of snow, they're gonna come clean it.
Correct.
Whereas Public Works, if they're out cleaning the roads,
You're not gonna be here.
now you're gonna pull them off the roads to come and clean the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Or
they
hire
don't need to
additional
clean
staff.
half an inch.
All that costs.
Go ahead, Dave.
Scott says, just say a little more about that, yeah, like say there was a storm and we get to work in the morning. We had to clean the sidewalks before we could go out, like all of us guys would go. So now that's an extra half hour, an hour that you're not out plowing roads. So it just wasn't working for us. Like, we said, look, we'll do it, but that's, you know, we're should be out cleaning the roads. That's why we kind of got away from that.
So what's the price for them to do the whole parking lot rather than leaving us alone for?
We can certainly look at that as to the future and see as a comparison if there's any savings, but you know, somebody who can do sidewalks may not have the necessary equipment to do an entire parking lot. And somebody who has an entire parking lot may charge you a lot for the hand shoveling that's needed for the sidewalks.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
And when our PW or in our community doing the streets with the truck and plow, it's easy for them to just pull in the parking lot and they're here, zip it. They're in their truck, they're here doing the Strathcona and
Yeah, and I'm just gonna comment too, I think how this all came about is to hire somebody to do it from outside of our public works. It's for the reasons that have been said here, is that, you know, if there's a storm, council always wanted the guys out on the roads, whether it's in the plow trucks or the snow plows or whatever. They're not using their time wisely if they have to clean up around the office and the sidewalks and the steps and the handicap, like the wheelchair ramp and everything. It just, at that point in time, it made more sense to hire out rather than have our PW do it, so. Go ahead, Dave.
We did have a seasonal employee that we asked him if he wanted to do the job, and he would cut the grass. And in the wintertime, most of the time he was laid off, but he would come and it worked out well until he moved on. And years ago, there was a lady that used to, Elsie Zurchin, used to do it. So, I mean, it didn't work for us for a couple of years. It's a, I don't know, you might save a little bit of money if you can find somebody who's willing to come, you know, cut the grass. And he used our own equipment, by the way, like we had a riding lawnmower, so, but it worked out well for us for, I'm gonna say, 3 years or so. But then it was back to, when he left, it was back to us guys doing it. And just, the grass cutting in the summer wasn't too bad. We had seasonal employees and, you know, they could cut the grass, you know. But then what we did is we contracted out for summer and winters for this. But it's an option if you could find somebody that's willing to do that for a little less money, I don't know.
I think we explored some of those options by contacting Trevor and working with Public Works this time. Nothing was sort of available at this time. I think maybe in the future, we could certainly look at it. That's why we said, let's get the contract for this year.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to see if we can get something better for next year.
Just a quick question, I don't want to drag this on, but there's no way, like if you put this out for tender, there's no way that, it could be tendered out that somebody local would get it? Like if somebody from Selkirk applies and they're low, they get it, right? There's no way, you know where I'm going with this? I'd like to, if we did do it, I'd like to see somebody in Yarm and St. Clements do it, sort of thing. I'm just, whatever, but that doesn't work in the municipality, right?
Not always, no, because it's the way it's.
You have to take the lowest, right?
You're supposed to take the lowest.
unless you word your RFQ or whatever, very
Right.
specifically saying, looking for this type of work from contractors within the Army St. Clements, you narrow the scope.
Yeah.
I think that's legal, as long as you make it up front and
Yeah.
legal.
Oh, you can do it that way?
I don't
I
know.
don't think you could narrow the
Can't.
scope on a geographical basis.
I was cornered by somebody on the weekend, they wanted to know when they phoned in about the snow removal and all that, how come they were getting somebody from India answering the phone? And I explained to them that it's because we tender it out and the lowest person does that answering or whatever.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be answering the phone if you're phoning in here for a complaint about snow
Oh, that's what
removal.
she told me.
Well,
That was
if
the
Tiger
call
Tail,
tracker.
Yeah.
The call
Tiger
tracker
Tail,
pipe.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
not to do with the company that's doing the snow clearing. It's two separate entities.
Okay, but that Tiger, is that a Canadian company?
Yes.
Yes,
It
it
is.
is.
Well-
And they use, it's Canadian companies, and then they use call centers, like many Canadian companies. Sometimes many American companies use the call center in Winnipeg, as an example. So it's difficult to determine when you hire the company, they're there to meet the obligations, and how they do the subcontracting becomes a
Yeah.
problem.
But that's, I just explained to her, I said, we have to take the lowest tender on anything.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the snow clearing itself.
No, I didn't say with the snow clearing, but she said the answering issue, why that was, you know, like that. That's-
Why was it going to a call
Yeah.
center? It's a good
Yeah.
question. And that's some of the challenges we have in this world economy.
Yeah,
But if you
yes.
phone on the weekend, then your Tiger Tail will get that.
Yes.
And we've had Tiger Tail, I don't
But
know, how long, 20
But I
years?
think the question that was posed to Councillor Horbis, why is there someone not in this community answering that call?
Yeah, well,
Because it goes to the call call center is the answer.
Yeah.
Where's the fire calls from, Glenn? They're not from even in this province, when you
You'd
phone
be
911.
paying everybody 3 hours for each phone call,
Okay.
even if it took 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Because you'd have to do a call.
Okay, so we're talking about two different things here, so let's
No.
bring in, yeah, we kind of are, because we're talking about the contract for the snow clearing, and this is kind of the answering service. So let's get back to the contract for the snow clearing. I would have to say because of timing, I think we should probably look at this resolution, and then for next year, perhaps tender it out and see how many and where they come from and what the cost would be. That would be for next year. So.
We know it's not gonna be cheaper with the gas that it is.
No.
No.
So, resolved, CAO be authorized to accept the service proposal of Gellers Enterprises at an annual cost of $5,250 plus taxes to provide snow clearing services for the municipal office walkways, entrances, and wheelchair access.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Boulanger seconds. Any discussion? I think we had it pretty much, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. 631, that is the Red River North Tourism Holiday Yards of the Season. And I think this came in kind of late.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Yes, it came in just the other day, and we decided to put it up there because of the timing issues. Two things, this is holiday yards of the season, and so generally speaking, in the last, they asked for the participation and a request for 2 councillors to be judges on that who would drive around. Last year we did identify that by resolution of council, so we thought we'd put it on here just so that we could have those 2 judges identified.
So did you put down the same 2 judges?
Didn't put down anything at this point.
Well,
I think they did a wonderful job last year.
Well, Councillor Sutherland and I were the ones that did go out. I know Councillor Strang did go riding around too and kind of did her own thing, but wasn't part of the judging. I have no problem doing it again, but I would like to see some of the other councillors get involved in some of these things. Councillor Strang and I were at an event on Saturday that we kind of got last minute notification on. So, I mean, if there is nobody else, yes, I would be willing, but if somebody else wanted to step up to the plate, that would be great too. So I'll open it up.
Well, I see Scott's kind of.
No,
He's wiggling around in his chair there, I know he wants to, so.
I heard
His hand down.
I heard bah humbug I was this morning already, so.
I know you're very eager to do this.
Not as eager as Glenn.
Well, I know
There's nobody more eager than Glenn. I'll
Scott
tell
was
you
swimming
right
around
now.
in his chair more than Glenn.
I don't think so. If I had to put money on it.
Well, we'll send them both.
Yeah, Glenn.
Done, eh?
Okay, any volunteers? I'll ask the question that way.
So is it during the evening on December?
Anytime between December
18th.
18th and January the 8th, and I know when Councillor Sutherland and I did it last year, we went kind of, because it's dark at 4:30, so you can either go before you have your supper or right after supper.
And I
So.
had help.
I want to go, but I'll be gone then.
You'll be sitting on the beach?
I'll be out in the country.
You're gone already.
Kind of
You can do
slow.
it by Google Earth and
No.
virtually
Yeah,
do it.
I guess so.
So you just go once or do you go?
Well, we did it in one evening.
We
I
had to
think
go
it
back and
depends
rock
how
River Road.
many
Entries
entries
we
there
have.
are, because it was just kind of a drive-by, and I know on each of them we took a couple of pictures, and you don't go to the door or anything like that, you just kind of do it from, you know, the road or the driveway and just snap a couple of pictures, and then you score each home. I think what, we ended up going kind of in 2 nights because there was one entry from Grand Marais, so we kind of did that by itself, and then all the ones in the south we did one other evening, and we went together, so,
I'll go. Yeah.
okay. Anybody else?
So it's just on my own between the 18th and the 6th and.
Yeah, unless we get another volunteer.
I want to fight Glenn for it.
Well, if nobody else contacts you to go along with you, Rob, I will try and go with you to at least some of the places if you want to do it together, and we'll see what happens with it.
That's wonderful.
I know there were places that, they give you the list of the addresses, Bob, they give you the addresses for our municipality, but there was people that had beautiful places,
Displays.
but they didn't even enter, so, yeah.
And I can't remember how many entries there were last year, but there was a fair amount, and they were hoping to have more this year. And, I mean, when we were driving around, even some of the places we looked at, and we went,
Yeah.
geez, why wasn't this one entered? Like,
That's
it's
right.
beautiful, like, you know, but I think it was the first year last year, and people knew about it, so there could be a lot more entries this year if they advertise it more and get everybody kind of on board with it.
We're gonna put it on our website too, eh?
Probably, yes, I
Yes.
think we did last year. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Are we discussing also for prize money, or are we gonna leave that till next council meeting?
You can't enter your place on it, you can't enter.
Is that part of this contest details?
Yes, then, okay.
Okay, I'm just opening it up, oh, file not found.
Just to let you, well, this was gonna be part of my discussion for, because at Red River North Tourism, because they're the ones that sponsor this.
Right,
Home Hardware is giving $100 to every municipality, so East St. Paul, West St. Paul, St. Clements, City of Selkirk, and St. Andrews. That will be our first prize. So we have to come up with prize 2 and 3, because we give 3 prizes.
oh, okay,
to our
per municipality.
But the number 1 prize will be the $100 gift card from Home Hardware that they are donating to each municipality.
Nice. I guess I might have to reload it.
So we could come back, yes, just reload.
Okay,
So we could just come back to it and get
Okay.
some prices afterwards.
okay, so next is, Holiday Alley.
Just Red River Holiday Yards of the Season.
Yeah,
So resolved that the mayor and Councillor Belanger be authorized to act as judges for the holiday yards of the season.
okay, can I have the mover, please? Councillor Horvis and Councillor Bazarowicz. I think we've had our discussion,
We
so I'll call the
wanted
question.
We did not want to do that, just so you know.
Yeah, those 2 elves should have been doing it.
Opposed, and that is carried.
And so for the next item, Holiday Alley, thank you, Madam Mayor, that you introduced. And this year, they are not asking for any funding, but are looking for volunteers to support with Holiday Alley. And you could work indoors on the tent.
Oh, it's not gonna be a tent. The tent provider backed out, and now the indoor activities are going to be at the Ag Building within the Selkirk Park.
That's right, the Ag Building.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Larry doesn't have all that covered? Why
And when is it?
why did he not?
Well, I'm just trying to pull it up, but I got booted out.
November
so-
14th was the
It's
email,
2
sorry.
weekends.
It's
It's 2, they're having it on 2 weekends.
When is it?
this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
There is, on the agendas, there is an application form, and it's all done virtually, so if anybody is interested in volunteering, you can just fill that out, and then they give you a choice of where you can volunteer, what days you want to volunteer, how many hours per day you'd like to be there. So I did send mine in only for a couple hours. This is kind of a bad couple of weekends for me, so I did put my name out there though.
Dave's got his hand up there.
Go ahead, Councillor Horowitz.
No, I didn't have my hand up, I didn't have any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Sandra.
I'll just let you know, they aren't asking for money this year, because we did donate last year, but everything was just virtual, so they held the money over.
Is that your hand up? You just put your hand up?
So the following year, next year, they will be asking for a donation again.
I guess I'm going to say it again. It would be nice if we did have some other council members volunteer rather than the same ones over and over and over again, so,
I filled out the form too.
yeah, so.
Well, so you have to do it online?
Yeah, there's not much
So
to
the
it.
link
They
is
just-
in our
It's in
information.
the package,
Yeah, it's in the package,
like a program,
yeah. Is it under program or is it under the other one?
in the program here, it tells you where to go to the website.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it can be a lot of fun, like I put on my, one of the questions on the application to volunteer is, you know, why do you want to volunteer? And I just kind of said that, you know, as an elected official, I think that we do need to participate, and I have participated. And again, they're not having that this year. Like they had one year, it was a soup tasting contest, and they had a chili tasting contest. It was lots of fun because you got to go to the different businesses, and of course for those two things, they had the schools and all sorts of restaurants and just private people making the soup or the chili, and then it was all judged, so it was all kind of interesting. So, I mean, there's lots to go, there's lots going on, there's lots of stuff to do, and if you haven't looked at the itinerary or the program, please look at it. Go for an hour. Like, I mean, I guess I'm getting to be to the point where I think we do have to do a little bit more than we are, so. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I was just going to tell you that when you mentioned about the soup tasting,
Yeah.
there are the restaurants that are participating in the contest now. So the tickets are $40, and you get a wide array from each restaurant. But they only sell 100 tickets, and that's it. So, and those sold out really quickly last year, so I don't know how the sales are in that this year. And our St. Jude's wine tickets are going to be featured here too, so. For Holiday Alley.
Do you have a bunch of those for sale?
We do, actually we have 5,000.
Yeah, we're going to do those probably at our break. The other thing that Councillor Strang and I did on the weekend, and she'll report on it in her committee report, I'm sure, we were dancing in the street on Saturday morning at the Marine Museum. They wanted to do like a flash mob kind of a thing. Unfortunately, there wasn't a big crowd there, but we still had fun and had some laughs, so. And I see on Join Us Online where it says Dancing in the Street Again by Brenton Thorvaldson. I know him, he's a very talented artist, and it looks as if he has reworded a bit of the song Dancing in the Street, so.
Is that very song?
Okay, so is there anything that we need to do here?
So basically, it's just anywhere between the 19th and 30th. I'm just looking at the program here. You can attend any of these things on any of these dates.
That's right. Well, it's only on the weekends, I think. Some of them, Sandra, you know more about it than I do because you've been attending through the Red River North Tourism, so.
19th to the 30th of this month.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week coming up, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's nothing during the week going on.
Okay, good. Lost
So
it.
they don't have anything on the Manitoba Avenue, like it's all closed off or?
Yeah, they will have it on the weekends.
Yeah,
But
the
it's all-
merch, yeah,
Like it used to? Closed
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Okay.
the merch, they
Yeah, well, where's that?
Roxy's is having
Roxy's is having
Having,
something, and so is the
beer and wine
March.
tasting,
Yeah.
March is having.
And I'm seeing here.
They're slowly getting back to normal,
Yeah, yeah.
slowly, with regulations.
think there's a chair there if you need one.
Red River Fiddle and Jig Jam
Years ago.
on November the 21st. I'm not exactly sure where that is. It doesn't say. It could be in the tent. So there's all kinds of events. So like I say, if you haven't looked at the program, I mean, there's 4 pages here. I'm sure that everybody can have a look and at least go for an hour.
If you can't register, can you just show up or do you have to register?
Well, they kind of wanted to know what you would be interested in, and I guess because of the time slots, they were trying to slot people in.
But if you don't volunteer, you can still show up.
Oh, yeah, you can still, if you're not a volunteer, you can show up and wander around for hours if you want, so.
Okay.
Okay.
The new item.
Oh, yeah, snow removal. That was the one I think Councillor Strang brought up as an addition to the agenda, and I will turn it over to you, and I think we kind of briefly talked about it before council started, so go ahead.
Just I had a phone call from a firefighter, and just he was asking me what is protocol or what's a priority in snow clearing in our municipality. As they got a fire call and just coming out of the narrow fire hall, they got stuck in front of the mailboxes. In turn, they had to call the East Selkirk Fire Department to come and help them. When they finally both got there to the fire call met, they discovered that neither one of their lots had been cleared off, so they just wanted to know where the priority was. And I just explained to the gentleman that I wasn't sure. I would take it to council, and I said to them, I don't even know if all the staff was there, like people live out in the country. It was our first terrible snowfall, and I said to him, we will find out. I said it should be a priority. The other thing I told him was just mentioning it to the fire chiefs, that it would be a thing for the fire chiefs to bring to DPAC with their concerns too.
Normal course of business would have been the fire chiefs would have brought this up as an issue if there was an issue. Individual firefighters having an issue is one thing, but the fire chiefs could bring it up as an issue. If there's no policy, it could be addressed. My comment would be, if it wasn't a policy, why was it not an issue for, we've had many snowstorms in many years? Or was it just something unique as an outlier with this particular storm because of the nature of the snowstorm that it caused some issues? Because we had some delays even with our own public works staff getting to the public works office on the morning, the Friday morning, to get to respond to the work. And so the roads were quite treacherous and we were delayed. That might have caused some issues.
I think Councillor Sutherland had his hand up, and then Councillor Spicer.
It used to be when there's a snowfall, you make sure the firehouse were cleaned out. I know that from experience, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure about, we couldn't have got to narrow it right away, but it was done very soon. But here we had to have it. That's in the past, maybe something,
Unless something changed, or it could have been just a timing
I
issue.
think it could have been that, you know.
The other thing I explained to him is maybe that the normal person that does the plowing down in our area couldn't come out too, so maybe we had a different person
Yeah.
plowing, so, but I said to him, I bring it to, and then he said that both fire halls, when they met at the fire, that both fire halls, the driveways weren't done. Yeah, I just said to him, I bring it to, and you know what, I totally understand, you get to the fire of a resident's house and, like, you know, they're late, but like, who knows what the roads are getting down to people's homes too on that day. Yeah, it was,
On the roads and getting the yard there either, they seem,
yeah,
they would have the same
same,
obstacles.
yeah, so,
I did
Sometimes
see
it's just
that
the nature of
email.
the beast.
I did see that email, Councillor, that you copied me out. But I still haven't heard anything from either of the chiefs.
and it's actually the mayor actually got a
Oh,
phone
or
call
the mayor
too.
copied me out.
Yeah, she got a phone call after.
I got the phone call, and I sent a quick email to yourself and Greg, and then Councillor Strang, I don't know if it was the next day or later that day, texted me and said, hey, you know, I got this phone call. So then we had a bit of a discussion about it. But there's many different reasons that, you know, yes, it is a priority, and that's, I guess, what was told to me. Well, aren't the fire halls a priority? And I said, yes, they are. But at this point, right at this minute, I can't say what may have happened. And I basically said, who said they weren't a priority? And that was kind of the end of the conversation. So, go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
And I think we all have to remember that this snowfall, although it likely happens maybe every year, it wasn't a typical snowfall. The ground is not frozen. It probably does take longer to get over the roads because we all have to remember we don't want them throwing all the gravel in the ditch too. So the only thing I have to add is I've had one phone call, and I got it this morning, and I sent an email to Greg and Deepak, and it was just a road that got missed, actually by agreement with Springfield. Springfield's supposed to be cleaning it, so Greg's notified them, and I assume it'll get done in the next couple of days. But other than that, I didn't get any more contact from anyone. Seemed good.
I get lots of calls, but the roads are really bad this year. I've never seen them like this bad. They're sunk in, and they're packed, and then snow is in there, and it's freezing and it's ice, like you can't cut them. I drove, before I came here today, I drove from 44 across on Broken Heads on the back there, and the roads are just like this.
Ours
It's terrible.
76.
Yeah, you know, I don't know how the hell they're gonna fix them.
Well,
Well,
Broken,
eventually that'll wear down, but it's just, so sorry about
no, Broken Head went out again on 33 on my road for the second time.
Yeah, they went out to Tyndall there, that road, they did it the second
St.
time.
Clements hasn't gone out twice yet, but when Broken Head went twice, it then cleared it off. So it's just a matter of bringing your lower blade down to sort of scrape off that
I
ice.
don't know, because they, from Tyndall, that road, up to where that, I call it the correction line there. Where Manhart's used to
it.
be.
33.
Yeah, by Double Street, that road. Where, we put the rock the other day.
That's on,
Well, that's 84, that used to be called Township Line.
Yeah, township, yeah. So that road there, like up to there, and Bossier came out second time, it's still bad. It's really bad.
It'll take a while, but
Yeah.
see, it's,
They were planning to do a second round. They went in first, did the first clearing, and then they were gonna go in and make the roads wider to accommodate a lot of this, because they're just trying to get everybody moving and giving people access to the first order of business. And I know that they are going back to deal with some of this, but in this kind of a situation, they'll have to wait, and there'll be a freeze thaw for a little while yet. Consider the way that the weather's going next week, it's good.
Tomorrow's supposed to be warm.
Again, yeah, exactly.
I wish it would freeze and stay frozen.
You don't want it to freeze too quickly, because that's when it turns into like cement.
Yeah.
And then it's, the roads will be like this for the whole winter.
So, okay, anything else on this snow clearing? And I guess the other thing that was kind of brought up earlier is people pushing snow across the road into the opposite ditch, and we know that, that it's not allowable under the Highway Traffic Act, so maybe if we could just remind Tyler that if he sees that anywhere, to just maybe send a reminder out to these people that they shouldn't be doing that. and-
I'm aware of one complaint and Tyler was looking at.
Okay, yeah, I haven't had any complaints, but I have seen in a couple of places where people have done that.
Same ones every year.
Even after Tyler goes and tells them it's the same, they still repeat offenders all the time.
So, but if he's on it, that's all we can ask, so we're not gonna change what people do. Okay, let's move on. I don't believe we have any accounts today, do we?
No.
Okay, so that takes us down to the bylaws. Bylaw 16 of 2021, indemnities and expenses for council for second and third reading. And Deepak, I'm not sure if you want to go over anything or bring it forward, and then we can discuss it once we have the resolution on the floor.
It's basically, there's been no changes since the first reading of bylaw, which was last week.
Okay,
And so this is the second reading, and if you'd like me to walk through it, I could.
I think maybe just the changes, because I think we did do one change, or did we leave it as it was?
We
Because it
did
was
do-
okay.
We made one significant change, which was the dealing with the hours
Oh, right.
for attendance at golf tournaments. It was 0 hours, and it was going to be actual travel and meals would not be allowed. So it was just actual travel would be the only thing, and then the cost of the golf tournament, of course, is picked up by the RM. The only other, there was a discussion around the hours indemnity, so the discussion was around if you're going to 2 events, is there a maximum of 10 hours for the whole event? And it was discussed, and we did say that the only ones that the 10 hours applies to is conferences. And so going to an event or going to a meeting, if you happen to go for 2 meetings and they're both 10 hours, you should be able to claim for both meetings. That's 20 hours. I doubt anybody's going to reach that. But there's no 10-hour maximum. So it's just whatever the amount of time is for one meeting and the next meeting for whatever amount of time. So if you're going for more or 3 in one day, that's the way it works out.
Any questions before the resolution comes forward? Okay, not seeing any hands go up, so if you want to read the resolution for second reading, please.
So resolve bylaw 16 of 2021 being a bylaw for indemnities and expenses of council to be given second reading as amended.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horwath, second. Councillor Sutherland, discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so we can move it forward for third reading, and please remember that this is a recorded vote, so you'll keep your hands raised, whether you're for or against, for the recorded vote. So if I can get that resolution, please.
Resolve bylaw 16 of 2021 being a bylaw for indemnities and expenses of council be read a third time as amended.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Spicer seconds. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Okay, moving on, the next item on the agenda, I guess it's the communications for information, and I'm not sure if there's anything that you wanted to touch on there, Deepak?
Just something, there's the chronic wasting disease that's identified a temporary no hunting zone. It doesn't really affect our RM, it's to the west of us, but I thought that we should be aware of it. And we've been notified of it. The other is a road, just basically a widening of an entrance off of Henderson Highway on Road 204. The other is the news bulletin from AMM. And this one, I wanted to just, because it's related with the conference and some of the information related to the conference, so I thought you should all be aware of it. The other is the advisory on the vegetation management. I'm going to give you a heads up on this. Was contacted by Manitoba Hydro, and they're going to be doing some vegetation management, basically cutting down some of the trees and things in some areas. So this is the map that they've identified. So the areas in red are where they're going to be going and working. They will be working from December into May, and depending on the weather, they'll work through it. It's quite a bit of work. And they're just basically clearing out some of the lines. In case our residents have any questions, we posted it on our website. We've notified people, but just so you're aware. So they're doing it in the Grand Beach area as well as along here off Balsam Harbor. So some people may say, where they're cutting down trees or they're only cleaning up the brush that's a hazard related with the power lines on their own right-of-ways or easements.
On their easements.
Okay, any questions on that one? Go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
Yeah, I didn't get the information on the hunting thing, like Rob submitted some signs and that, I couldn't find anything about where that was specifically, where that area is.
The one
That's
that
coming
Rob
after.
was.
Yeah, we'll discuss it on in-camera.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
coming up a little bit later.
That chronic disease,
Correct, yes.
yeah, is that to do with the deer?
Deer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard about that,
All ungulates.
yeah, I heard about that, but I thought it was in Alberta or something.
Well, it's here now.
It's here
It's
now.
spreading, yeah, it's coming through the west.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's up around Lake of the Prairies, if I remember correctly.
So the map of the area, the temporary no hunting zone, shows where it's
By
affected.
Roblin, south of Roblin.
So there's the Saskatchewan border.
So you can still eat that deer, right?
No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no.
no.
And it's scary. I mean, we've been lucky up to this point to keep it at bay, and now that it's out, it's gonna be like trying to keep the gate closed and
Well, what they were saying is that they were encouraging not to kill deer, but they should be encouraging to kill them more now,
well,
to,
you can't consume, that's the problem. So if it's,
how do you know if the deer has it?
they're all disoriented, pretty,
So before you shoot it, you say to the deer, you know where you are?
It's running at you, so.
yeah, that's right, it's running out.
If he stood there too long,
Yeah.
And let you shoot.
Oh, where's the coffee? Hey.
Okay, I have to back up to, I think it's 922, the rental infrastructure, the permit. I guess when I looked at this the other day, when I was going over my agenda, I did this one kind of tweaked me because the person who is asking for this culvert permit, it's listed as a company with a Winnipeg address, but now I kind of wonder, why is he needing his culvert widened? Is he bringing some of the equipment home, and is he actually starting to do business from his property here? Or does it make a difference?
We have to deal with it when that happens.
Okay. All right, it
Because
just
we
seemed
can't speculate
kind of,
names.
yeah, it just seemed kind of odd because it is permit holder is a company name. It's a construction company with a Winnipeg address, but yet he's asking for a widening of a culvert on residential property in our municipality, so. Okay, that's fine, I just was a little curious on that one. Okay, so we are down to Selkirk and District Community Foundation, the
Yes.
giving.
The Giving Challenge, or, well, there is the LiDAR Manitoba Virtual Launch. I did want to bring this
Oh,
up
right.
quickly, that it is on November the 25th, and that you can register on the virtual launch and get some of the training as to the LiDAR information, which I think will be very helpful for us, especially as we move forward with our own GIS mapping.
On this one, I just wanted to mention, I think I got an email from the office this morning, I'm just trying to find it, that I've been registered, but I can't attend. So is there somebody that may want to attend that isn't registered? I would just forward this information. Go ahead, Sandra.
I think we all got registered because there's no charge to it.
Yes.
Okay, so if I don't attend, it's not that big a deal. Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to make sure. I knew it was free, but I wasn't sure if there was a limit on how many could attend.
Good question.
So,
Okay, so the next one is the Selkirk District Community Foundation, and this one, we have it in this communication for information. I've discussed this with Mayor, and I don't know if council wants to deal with it specifically today. Basically, what this is that they're starting their giving challenge, which goes from Monday the 15th, which was yesterday, till the 21st next week, or sorry, by Sunday of this week. And what they're looking to do is for every $5 that they get $1 from the Winnipeg Foundation and $1 from Manitoba government, getting it up to $7. As part of that kickoff campaign, they also came yesterday and delivered some cookies as part of the giving campaign. And they don't necessarily fall into any specific grant application process as part of this kind of a challenge. But if council wishes to do something, we'll make that happen. Just nothing up for you.
I'm going to open it up, see if anybody has any interest in giving them a donation and they can get extra money. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So, unless I missed it, do you get a tax deductible receipt when you do this?
I thought you did.
Because they really should have that in that letter, right? Is this going out to others other than us?
Yes.
Like, I don't think I saw it in the letter, so I was sitting there thinking, well, wouldn't that be a good thing to have in the letter? It's just a comment.
It's a good comment, and I think you get a tax receipt after $20.
Yeah,
So before 20, I don't think you get a tax receipt.
like it wouldn't apply to us, I'm just talking about individuals.
Any person who would want to donate, yeah. Well, I'll leave it up to council. Do you want to give them a donation? I think they do some very good work, and I know that there have been people and associations in our municipality that have received funding from them, so it's up to council. Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
I'd just like to say, yeah, we should.
I mean, a couple $100, I don't know what
Yeah.
it would be.
But does it interfere with our process here? Or did they sent the letter in, so they're asking for the donation? Because we have a process now, right?
Yes, we have a process for
Yes.
grants,
Yeah,
and so this is not really a grant request.
okay, okay.
So this is just a decision of council if you want to give.
I'm in favor of the donation.
Go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
Is this not what we committed 2 years ago, that we were gonna give $20,000 or $50,000 over a number of years?
Yeah, I think we do have a fund in Brooklyn, don't we?
I think we might, but I think what we decided to give the money to, wasn't that for the housing strategy that's kind of
It
been,
was the foundation. Isn't that where we, I know 1 year we got for a camera, for an infrared camera for the fire department. It was
but
$8
that's
grand.
you,
That was-
that's the fire department making an application for funding through them.
Well, it was a grant fund.
Yes.
But did we not keep giving and giving to build it up? Like, it was a $20,000 or $50,000.
Over a number of years, yeah.
Or is
Anyway,
this
we should
different?
at least that $250, $300, I'm gonna suggest.
And then we get a cookie.
I kind of recall what you're talking about, but I don't know if it was through this grant program.
I don't know, I just remember to the foundation, we're giving money.
I think, don't we, as RM of St. Clements, we have our own endowment fund there within the
And I
Selkirk
think that's what
Foundation.
Glenn is
Yeah.
talking
That's what
about.
that's what we keep perpetuating.
Right, because like they even gave money to South St. Clements to go towards, with the province, to go towards the items down there too. Like, they're great for giving, like yes, I totally agree that,
Yeah.
and any community group, like, goes and applies there.
That's
They're
right.
very good at, whether it's Ukrainian
Yes,
dancers,
yeah.
whether it's.
And I think the Grand Marais Rec got at
Yeah.
one time some money from them for a camera or something, or a sound system, like, I think it is two different things, like, I get what you're saying about that we have this fund that just kind of keeps growing, it's a St. Clements fund, but now they're wanting us to donate to, I guess it would be like, almost like the general fund, so.
Yeah, I just don't want to keep duplicating the same.
Well, no, but see, on that one, we don't give year after year after year.
The hospital and
That was for the
stuff.
province.
Yeah,
It was a
So
provincial
if I
program.
could help to explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
The way that the foundations work is they receive funds that go into their endowment plan, which continues to increase in and they use the interest from that to do good things. Everyone that goes in and puts in a certain amount of funds into that, it's usually a one-time thing, or it could be on an ongoing basis over multiple years, but it's to achieve a particular goal. And they usually have a stipulation that the foundation is responsible for making sure. They may say it can only be used for these types of activities. And so many people donate the funds into these foundations in that fashion. On top of that, what they're doing here is a general campaign that they do every year to increase their general endowment fund, their general fund. And in that campaign, they have an ability to draw upon funds from other sources, like the Winnipeg Foundation, which is a very large foundation, as well as the province of Canada. So this would be seen separately, like RM's St. Clements endowment dollars that were put in, whether it was $20,000 or $50,000, are sitting as part of their entire capital that's gaining interest.
Right. So, go ahead, Councilor Strang.
So what do we have in a little basket that we can give up?
Basket funding.
Do we have some little fund? Because I'm in
I
support of
think
it
from
too.
the numbers that I've heard quoted, I think we can absorb that in the budget.
That's excellent.
Go ahead, Councilor Spicer.
I'll second Rob's motion of $200.
And I'm not sure, if you may have walked out of the room, I think Councilor Sutherland said maybe 300, so,
Oh, okay. Well, I'll second whatever motion is.
okay, is everybody good with 300 then for now?
do I hear 5?
Okay, and I believe there may be Do you may have ready? I'm not bringing one up here, so I'm not sure.
Just reload.
We should match at least Orbis Sasko. We should at least match their donation. Dave was telling me the other day that the gravel was 500 June.
Yeah, that's what I said,
Okay, I'll just read one off and then Brett will type it off.
Okay,
So, resolve the Arm of St. Clements donates $300 to the Selkirk District Community Foundation in Dow, Manitoba Giving Challenge.
okay, moved by Councillor Sutherland, seconded by Councillor Spicer. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
We should put a challenge out to all the other councilors, like, $100 each. That would be like $600-700 for the mayor.
I knew I shouldn't have opened my mouth.
Okay, I guess we can probably go into the council reports. And seeing as we're all here today, I'm going to start with Councillor Sutherland.
Thank you for that. I don't have much. Since our last, all I had was Councillor Horbus and I attended the GMCC meeting on November 10th. It was a regular meeting, and it was appreciation dinner for the employees also. They haven't once a year.
At GMCC, I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah, that was an appreciation
Yeah.
dinner. So, yeah, that was November 10th, and I'll just give you a little update here on how things are going with the services there. The chiropractic services are going to continue all winter, from Fridays from 2 to 6. The massage therapy is going to continue Saturdays all winter long. Again, they're not going to be shutting down. We had some discussions, no more discussions on the wages for the employees, so we kind of got that out of the way. And what I missed, Dave? Waiting for you to fill in the rest. There's something. Oh, there's, as far as that entrance door for the washrooms, I'd asked him, what was going to number you to talk to him, and apparently that's not going to work, I don't think so. Still haven't come to a agreement, everybody, on where that door is going to be. But
I think they're getting quotes on it now, that
They
they
are.
will block off those 2 doors, come in through, what's that thing called?
Well, the
gym.
fitness
The
center,
gym.
The
but
gym.
that's,
Come through there, through the gym, and then those, where those doors are that come into that long hallway there? I don't know what you want to call it, but they call it a long hallway.
The gated door there?
Yeah, that wouldn't be, that won't even be effect, because there'll be doors there now to get into those washrooms from that area. You know that long,
Well, the hallway, the viewing area, I'm
Yeah.
going to call it.
yeah, if you want to call it that. There'll be doors there now, so if you want to go to the washroom there now, you have to open those doors and then you'll be able to go to the girls or the guys. But what's going to happen is they're going to bring one straight in, and then you'll be able to go to the girls or the guys from that side. You can't come in to the other part or through that fire door at the side there. They want because they don't want people going on the back, because somebody might get attacked by a raccoon or something.
Just so it's very clear, just so if you could advise them that they better have an architect do a review of that building. Because when they punch a hole in the wall and start putting up walls, that entire building may have to come up to new code.
I don't think there'll be any walls put up. It's
If they
just
start putting up
early.
doors or blocking things up, punching holes through new spots, that could have an impact that the entire building may need to go through a code review from Red River Planning, not from us.
Okay,
And when Red River Planning goes into it, now the Manitoba Building Code comes in, and a $15,000 project can turn into $150,000 very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, they'll still have to go through Red River Planning regardless of what they do, I think, Gene, because there's going to be another exit from the outside.
But I think they need to be advised that they need to bring in, it's not just
Yeah.
a local carpenter to come and punch a hole and create some doors. I think what they need, the type of building it is, they need to have an architect involved in order to do a code analysis before they start putting in new entrances and exits. That's why I suggested an existing
Well,
entrance and exit.
that's why I brought it up at the meeting, because you would, and it did make sense kind of, but anyway, just to let you know, like, nothing's for sure yet, but we'll have to see where it goes.
Okay, Councillor Boulanger.
It seems that we've been talking about this for a long, long time, and nothing's done yet. Like, we were talking about this for the last couple of years, about this exit or this new entry to the bathrooms. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's gotta be at least 2 years,
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure,
minimum.
for sure.
COVID,
But you see, I think when we talked about it last year, and Scott, yes, I did see your hand, when we last talked about it here, and the idea came up that, use that entrance that's, I guess, on the west side of the building, which just kind of goes to that patio there. To me, that would have been the easiest fix, because then you just close off where your front desk is. People can come in, go to the washrooms, and you can have another gate, or not, because people accessing the gym have to use those washrooms too, so that whole hallway is kind of open.
they're worried about vandalism. That's their biggest concern.
Well, I guess, anybody can come in and vandalize, because the gym, you use your key or your fob to get in there. So, if those are the only people that are gonna be getting in there, that would be all right. But from the other side, maybe it should just be certain hours. It closes at 9:30 at night.
I think
It
that's
is
their-
going to be that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a 24-hour
Yeah.
thing. We know that we know for sure.
So there's no security in the
Yeah.
day requirements, it's a night, and they're only doing this for the summer, and the sun doesn't go down till 10 o'clock.
If they're only doing it for the summer.
No,
No, in the winter too, they're gonna do
it's
some.
year round.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought there were security cameras in there.
There is,
So, put up some big sign saying you're being watched or whatever, and that's probably gonna get rid of your vandalism problem.
Anyways, I guess Councillor Sutherland is giving us the update, so we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But,
I just wanted to bring it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's,
okay,
I think that's it.
that's all you have for your committee report?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
November 10th, had Red River North Tourism Meeting. We've spoken about quite a few of the things, the events. They did attend the ice fishing show that was in Selkirk, and they said from not having it last year to this year, it was very successful. And there was less amount of people, because everything had to be like double backs to the code regulations, but otherwise their attendance, they had was 2,600 people there that came by their booth. That's here. We discussed Holiday Alley happening this weekend and the following weekend, and everything from beer and wine tasting that's going to be happening at Roxy's. Tickets are ready for the wine cellar, they call it, yeah, that they will be selling, and the donation will be going to St. Jude's. They were having Dancing on the Street, which the mayor and I did take part in on Saturday morning. 55 plus games are still going to be going ahead also, so those have been put off for how many years, so Those will be coming back, and on the 29th for the wine cellar tickets, we will be having the draw here at the municipal office. So anybody that wants to attend from our council. Holiday lights, and I've already explained about first prize will be the $100 donated by Home Hardware, and the RMs will be in charge to get the second and third prize. And then just Holiday Alley, they were looking for volunteers. That's it. And November 13th, the mayor and I attended the flash mob for Holiday Alley, and all of it will be, I think it's going to be on Facebook too, so anybody has Facebook, you can see it. I don't know what it's going to look like, but November 16th today.
Are you guys dancing?
Yep, there was Dancing in the Street song.
Yeah.
That was, they were really
Danced.
The unfortunate part, and I know the mayor spoke to them later, is they only used Facebook as their multimedia for advertising for people coming out to do the flash mob. I'm not on Facebook all the time. I'll go check it once in a while. But I was in the meeting and they mentioned to me, oh, is your mayor coming? So I'm texting Debbie at the time that the meeting was going on saying, hey. So that was how we got sort of hooked, roped. Like, we had a good time.
It was fun.
Yeah, but, you know,
But
it's,
and I would have liked to see a couple of you guys there as council
Yeah,
members
we
for
didn't
St.
even get
Clement.
invited. Jeez.
Was that Saturday morning?
yes,
Yeah.
Was there alcohol involved?
I phoned you that day, you said.
they're probably needed. And then today, the Interlake Municipal Reconciliation Builders Award for Lakeshore Heights. And that's it.
Hey, thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
Nothing since our last meeting, Madam Chair.
Okay. Councillor Spicer? you
I
have
have
any-
no report also.
Okay. Councillor Bazarowicz, you've been out and about, so you just got home. Councillor Corbus?
Well, the only thing that I did was attend the meeting with my fellow councillor, Mr. Sutherland,
Okay.
at GMCC, which after the meeting we indulged in food at the local tavern.
Tavern. Okay, December, I'm way ahead of myself. November the 9th, we had our council meeting. November the 12th, we had a virtual Manitoba Good Roads Association meeting. We have not met since October of 2019, so there was a fair amount of discussion on the competition, the entries received, and judging. Again, they stated that we could use more judges and to make it easier for everybody. We also talked about looking at changes to the categories and communities eligible to be entered. And basically, that came as a result of some of the amalgamations which took place a while ago, but now a small town that used to be on its own is now within a municipality, and they kind of get left out of some of the categories. So it ended up that we sent it back to the Judges Committee to look at all those and try and get back to us with some information as to what other categories could be put in or who can fit into where. I'm just looking for my notes because I did have a date for the next awards are going to be, it will be the 2022 Annual Banquet Awards, and that will be on April the 19th next year, and that will be in Brandon. So they usually try and have it with one of the AMM events. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is the date for the next Good Roads Banquet and Awards ceremony. November the 13th, Councillor Strang already talked about the Dancing in the Streets flash mob. And I did, as Sandra mentioned, I did mention that, you know, that if it would have come to, an invitation would have come, we could have put it on our website and maybe we would have got some residents there. As Sandra said, we were told that they're just using social media, and I just said, like, I don't go on social media, so, you know, if Sandra hadn't called me, I wouldn't have realized. I knew about it, but there were no details sent out as to when it was, where it was, so. November 14th, I had a John Q board meeting. There were updates on some of the projects that we are working on. St. Andrews now has another representative because their representative, which was a citizen rep, Mr. Helbezma, he has walked away, I guess you could say, because he's retired now and he's doing other things rather than sitting on these boards. And there was also some discussion regarding Winnipeg's position at the table, so we're looking into that. Winnipeg doesn't sit at the table right now on John Q, and we would really like to get them on the board, so they're going to be doing some, I guess, some nudging there to see if we can't get them to come on board. And right after our John Q meeting, we had a Wmr Exec Meeting. The discussion was mostly around the upcoming workshop, which is on Friday, envisioning draft 1 of Plan 2050. And for that event, there is going to be myself, Deepak, one of the planners going, representing the municipalities. So we all need to remember, and this was really stressed, and I'm sure Deepak may speak to this a little bit too, we all need to remember that this is the start of the process of reviewing the draft Plan 2050 and discussing possible changes which will be looked at. We're not the people that are going to be approving the changes. That will be left up to the Capital Planning Region Board, but anything that we bring up will be put forward to them if there is a consensus, and there still is room for change. Exactly how much, we're not sure. So, and that's all I have.
Isn't Deepak on there?
Deepak's on a different one. He's on the Bill 37 review, so. And that's all I have, so I'm going to turn it over to Deepak. Go ahead, Rob.
That Plan 2050, that's something that's going to be going on for a lot of years. Like, obviously, but I mean, the planning and putting it together is what I'm getting at, and the changes, and it's so macro, it's so huge.
Yeah.
It just baffles, it blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, like we said, this is draft 1, and by the time it gets adopted by the Capital Planning Region, we could be up to draft 8. We don't know, you know, so. And some municipalities are very adamant of what they want to see in it. Some municipalities that don't do a lot of participating want lots of changes in it, and, you know, so it's going to be a long haul to get this all in place, as far as I can see, so. Deepak?
Since last meeting, nothing really to report other than the one meeting which was with the province and the working group for Bill 37. And on that, I am signed up for a non-disclosure until such time that they're prepared to release anything.
Oh, one thing I forgot to add, Councillor Sutherland and myself, at that meeting, they had some slides there, and we had a video of that Grand Marais was trying to get a bus put in there. So they had some slides from Winnipeg showing some bus stops where people were on the streets. They had one there where they showed one where there was buses, like had bus stops, you know, going through the city and that. And there was one particular in front of the planetarium that they showed, but other than that, just thinking about getting a bus going there for transportation in the summertime.
So just within Grand Marais or traveling to Winnipeg?
No, just within Grand Marais.
Just within Grand Marais.
Okay.
Okay, anything else that you have, Deepak?
No, the rest I can fill you in on the camera.
Okay. Brett, do you have anything you would like to share with us this afternoon?
No.
Okay, well, I think we can go in camera now, and once we go in camera, then we will take a 5-minute break. So, if I could have the resolution to go in camera, please.
Just a minute, I can reload again.
Oh.
Resolved, council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and further be it resolved that all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)D of the Municipal Act.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Orbis, Councillor Bazarovic seconds, discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Fred, if I could ask you to please stop the recording for the moment. Yes.